Luke Cage Season 1 review. Luke Cage is in an escape convent experimented on, made indestructible, made into an indestructible man. It is actually expertly handled, story wise and acting wise, to be emotionally vulnerable, keeping a low profile in Harlem, a very neutral position, because while he could be a hero, it has ties to the MCU movies and Netflix shows, making it perfectly clear, people of his caliber are put in the spotlight, seen as a destructive threat. Mike Coulter gives a charismatic performance as Luke Cage. He's a morally strong character, flawed and relatable. He has his neighborhood's best interest at heart. And the villain, too, the villain is exceptionally well. There will be some spoilers in here. Uh, Cottonmouth, he's an incredible villain that equally cares about Harlem, his neighborhood, even though he moves guns, drugs, organizes crime. He has a heart. It shows when a mutually respected figure or a figure of strong morals in the neighborhood is killed in the crossfire of an action he set off. And this is what starts the war between him and Luke Cage. Sets off some very strong self-loathing in the character Cottonmouth himself, because while he didn't directly commit the murder, he is responsible with his choices that he made. He sent the people there and it backfired. Cottonmouth doesn't hesitate to kill the person responsible, as the loss hits him hard. But the the character Cottonmouth is just layered and in depth. Later on, they show some of his past when he was a child, the kind of things he had to deal with. And most comic book properties, they don't really give you that with villains. Netflix has done a very strong job of doing that. So Mariah is a political figure, and she's directly related to Cottonmouth. It's been a while since I watched it, so I don't remember if she's his cousin. I think she's his cousin. Anyway, she's constantly on edge, fearing she'll be exposed due to Cottonmouth's criminal behavior. And Mariah has a deep love for Harlem herself and for her family. But when not in the public eye, she harbors such a hatred for her family, yet constantly boasts about what they mean to Harlem in the public. And even to Cottonmouth, she just boasts about what they mean. And Cottonmouth and Mariah are layered with such human complexity. They make great, very strong villains. And, you know, Cottonmouth often calls her out on her bullshit about her boasting about their family. Stuff like that is very great, very strong. These characters really got fleshed out. Uh, Other characters too. A lot of the characters in this show, like Shades. Shades is a career henchman, advisor to Cottonmouth on behalf of Diamondback. This character is suave, constantly challenging Cottonmouth to think more critically, a few steps ahead from a logical standpoint, not an emotional quest for revenge. He's strictly business and pretty much here to usher in Cottonmouth. Shades, to me, was probably the most likable character, aside from Luke Cage himself. But it's kind of hard because Cottonmouth is very likable too. Despite being a villain, Cottonmouth is incredibly likable. But Shade's just so logical about all this criminal stuff, about how to handle it, and not let your emotions cloud your judgment. He, he calls him out when he's screwing up and stuff. He's very respectable henchman. Uh, Much better than he is in the comics, actually. Uh, and Misty Knight, she's a departure from her comic book counterpart in a lot of ways. Uh, Here she's made like an officer of the law, and Misty Knight in the comics, she's more of a Foxy Brown type. But here on the show, She's much more modern, but I guess everything really is much more modern. But there's still like those 70s vibes and hints at that kind of stuff. Uh, Misty is given a lot of story that humanizes her. You know, there's like she sleeps with Luke Cage on a one night stand before he becomes the vigilante hero of the people. She has to investigate and go out there, adding that awkwardness further. Furthering her story, it gets even more complicated as she discovers someone she trusted, defended without a doubt, is corrupt, and her ties to him, when outed, flip her whole world upside down as she loses someone close to her, and her career in law enforcement is put into question, jeopardized. The character Scarf didn't seem all that interesting at first, but when put in an awkward position, this character shines. All these characters were so layered and amazing. I found Scarf funny from time to time, and then, I found him to be a dick from time to time, and then, you know, other times you really feel for him, as you feel for Cottonmouth too, and as you can feel for Mariah and understand her point of view that she's out there in the public, a political figure, and she's got this cousin that has this nightclub that you know got all this attention and popularity to it, and he's running guns and doing all kinds of things that just jeopardize her stance, her career, and everything she's been running for. We also get Claire Temple back. She reprises her role from Daredevil and Jessica Jones. She's good and interesting as always. She hooks up with Luke Cage, and but as a comic book fan, he ends up with Jessica Jones despite their differences. So I didn't find this relationship all that interesting. This movie has, like I said, strong connections to the MCU despite having the same actress from Civil War. Yeah, it has the same actress from Civil War playing a different character. The one who pretty much guilt trips Tony into the Accords and all that. It has strong connections to black culture, nods to the comics. Really, it really is an incredible show. I mean, even all the small characters, the characters that don't get a lot of focus and screen time, like Pops himself. I really like that actor. I can't remember his name, but I've seen him in other stuff. His performances are always top notch. Luke Cage season one, man. The music, the colors, like all the colors they include in every scene. It's a really well directed show, and the music is some of the best. The Luke Cage intro, it's unforgettable. Uh, the the biggest flaw though is this season gets a little uneven as Diamondback, he sort of built up this whole season for at least the first half of this season. He's built up by the character Shades, who is this like mythological, just critical thinker, very well calculated, smooth, always thinks things through, you know, and he's always questioning Cottonmouth, don't let your emotions interfere with business. And he says things too like, how do you think Diamondback would feel about this or that? It really gives you this idea that when Diamondback shows up, Diamondback is going to be like a kingpin, like Wilson Fisk is in the comics in the 90s Spider Man cartoon. He runs everything, and there's no hint to the public that he's behind so much of the crime that happens. That when he finally shows up, what you get is this irrational Saturday morning cartoon villain. And even though Kingpin was a Saturday morning cartoon villain, I mean, okay, with the way Kingpin is in that 90s Spider-Man cartoon, it's not even fair to call this guy a Saturday morning cartoon villain. This guy is just completely irrational, thoughtless, does things just openly. It really makes you wonder how he ever got such a high ranking in the world of crime, how he's never been caught because he does everything so public, so recklessly, irrationally. And it really is a shame that this villain, this character, took the position as the main villain during the back half of the season because he's just a one-dimensional psychopath hell-bent on killing Luke Cage. And that was just, it really made the season feel uneven because you have all these other well-written characters, strong episodes, strong scenes. Every character was great up until this guy showed his face on the scene and just tore apart everything. Uh, it does get a little annoying with how the cops are so focused on Luke Cage, taking him down. Uh, that felt like more of a political message, that black males are just, unfairly targeted by the cops. And, you know, I'm not here to get political, but this show is incredibly exceptional. I would give it a solid 10 if it had not been for Diamondback, man. All these characters are so great. So great, man. Luke Cage couldn't got a better actor for him. And that's Shades. You couldn't have written him any better than you did. Scarf, Pops, Claire, Misty Knight was. I mean, you could have gone a different way with Misty Knights that was more comic book accurate, but she was pretty good for what she was in here, and they did really flesh her out. They really gave her these. They put her in such awkward positions, man. It's just like, damn. And you do get to see like Luke Cage's origin and how all that happened. They even slid in like his classic outfit, that little like headband, and his 70s outfit. It's really, really great show, man. Despite Diamondback, you could have, kept, you could have shifted focus to Mariah being the villain. I kept Cottonmouth around, and there's some shocking, surprising moments in this show that will catch you off guard. I'm not gonna say what they are. I mean, I'm pretty sure a lot of people have seen this show by now. If anybody hasn't seen this show, what the hell are you doing? Go watch it, man. This show is awesome. If it wasn't for Diamondback, it would be 10 out of 10, man. But I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. So, like, subscribe, check out my other videos, check out my GoFundMe. I'll probably start, linking PayPal down below too if you want to support my channel. I'm not monetized. Stay awesome. Rock on. Oh, I forgot to say, sweet Christmas. Happy holidays.